Yes. Yeah, we quarterbacks did about 3 minutes outside and weren't getting much done. So yeah, we had to adjust a little bit to that wind.
As you kind of piece together some of these offensive linemen that were different spots last year, maybe not playing as much, but have you seen a personality or a cohesion develop in these 8 or 10 practices that you like, or anything that stands out?
I think we're much, well, I should say much more. We're doing a nice job being physical up front. We're playing that way that we've wanted to be. We talked about that in the recruitment of some players, and I think we don't want a bunch of fighting and a bunch of nonsense, but I think we've got some tough guys up front. I think Tanner Farmer's playing pretty well in that guard position. We've got Dylan playing the guard and the center, so he's moving around a little bit. But I think we're showing some physicality up there with that group, and I think they're starting to come together. It's hard to get that after 10 days, but I think they're working towards that, and I think they're doing some good things.
Can that mentality feed off one guy, or has it got to be all 5, or is somebody kind of directed a little bit?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both. I mean, I think you have to get some leadership from Dylan, being a senior, but also, as they grow and they've got to all come together as one, and that's when you haven't played much together, that takes some time. But I think Dylan's kind of the ringleader of that group, and he's vocal, and I think that bodes well to kind of step out and take charge of that group.
The physical part, does that start with one guy?
I think it's all of them. I think they've just got to bring a toughness to practice each day, and they've got to outwork that defensive line. They've got to be tough in protection. We've got to be more solid in the protection, especially against pressure. Our pressure periods, we've had a lot of times where that pocket is getting collapsed, so they've got to be more firm in protection. But they are playing more physical than they did really from day one.
Nick's not a senior because of his experience. Can he be one of those leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a little more quiet than Dylan. He does it by example rather than maybe being as vocal of a leader, but he has played a ton of football and he's played well. So he commands that respect, and he's a leader because of that, the fact that he's played a lot.
Is Dylan playing more center than guard, or guard than center? How do you think that will shake out? How do you think it'll shake out?
Well, I think you got to see how Paul Thurston's coming along. He's had to miss a few days because of a class that he couldn't do anything about. So I don't know yet quite with him, but we're playing him at center more right now, trying to get Decker some work in there, and then Paul gets some work on the weekends, and we put Dylan at guard at that time. So you're seeing Dylan more at center, but I'm not totally sure that's how we would play him. We could play him at guard too.
Well, how's Tanner grown in the last 2 weeks as a player?
He's done well. I think he's had a few mistakes here and there, but overall I think he is coming along. He is a strong guy. I think he lost a little bit of weight when he was wrestling, and he's trimmed down, but he hasn't lost any strength. So he's able to move some people, especially on the double teams, and just another physical presence in there that's helping us.
If I recall, last year there was quite a bit of gap between the first and the second team offensive line. Do you feel like that's shrunk a little bit?
Yeah, I think the biggest issues is in the assignment errors. I think that first group is further along. I think the young guys make a lot of mistakes, but I think physically, better. I think we're closer. We don't have as big a gap, like you said, but I think the mental part of it they need work on.
How is after Sam and Seathan, who's your 3 and 4 tight end right now?
Trey Foster's looked good. I think Tyler Hoppus has had a good spring. He's catching the ball real well. He's continuing to work on his blocking. So I think there's a good battle there. But Trey's given us some good reps. He's got some leadership ability. He's a vocal guy, and he's taking charge of that group just because of with him and Sam. And
where's Tyler come from? Like, when did he hit your
A couple weeks ago, he kind of stood out skelly to me. You know, our 7-on-7 periods, I thought he was doing a nice job running routes and catching the ball. You know, some of the stuff team-wise that he needs to improve on is just his blocking, but he's really worked hard at that in individual. You know, so just becoming more physical and understanding technique, I think, will help him. But he is a threat running the routes.
There's an old adage in the state of Nebraska. There's a lot of kids with tight end size. Have you seen that already, just with walk-ons on the program?
Yeah.
Just guys that have that general tight end body.
Yeah, and we'd like to get them to be about 300 and play them at tackle. That would help. But no, there is some. You know, you're right about that. There's the kids on our team. You know, there's definitely some athleticism and that size. That's hard to find sometimes, but you probably found more in the state than others for sure. More than Oregon, I know that.
Reggie Davis brought up Luke McNitt the other day.
Yeah.
Prominent in that fullback picture. What have you seen from McNitt, and how do you think his experience at quarterback and tight end are helping him now?
Yeah, he's a smart player. He's you know he's had good work at the tight end position blocking, but I think that's helped him kind of transition to that fullback spot, and he is really an athletic receiver out of the backfield. So he's going to be a guy that we can run some lead plays, cut the edge, and then bluff and get into the flat and be a threat throwing him the ball. So I think he's made that transition nicely. We had hoped that he would be a good kind of a logical spot for that fullback position. He could be an H at the same time, but that's kind of an interchangeable spot. So we're playing him more at that fullback in that personnel group, and he's really done a nice job this spring.